Hey Greg, good morning.
Hola,
¿Cómo estás?
bien. Yo necesito practicar mi español.
En Barcelona. En
Sí.
Barcelona tendrás oportunidad.
Sí.
How is the family doing?
We're doing all right. Oh, I need to close my door.
And
Yeah,
how is
we're on school
your
break.
hockey team doing? How is the season going?
I think playoffs either start today or tomorrow. We won the not, yeah, we won the conference, which is the league is split into two conferences, and we got the top spot in our conference. The top spot in the other conference got the best spot in the league. Um, but we won our conference, which was great. And playoffs start. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, sound exciting. And is the team having a good roster this season? Like
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
good?
it's different from any other team that I've seen before because we don't have any players who are like superstar status. Um, but we have a lot of good players who work together well. Um, a lot of teams that succeed and make it to the cup and everything, they have like one or two players that are just like blowing stats away. We don't have any of that. We have a lot of just kind of even doing fairly well. Just a lot of players that are doing fairly well, and it's an interesting thing to see, and I wonder if other teams are going to pick that up next season.
Honestly, I prefer that type of team when
Yeah,
you have like instead of a superstar, like a good group with good players, like just caring about the team, not caring about the statics, so
yeah.
statistics. So yeah, great. So good luck with the playoff.
Thank you.
Hi everyone. Hi Ben, Jason, Juan, and Ege.
Hello.
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 Hello. Hello.
Hello. It's 2 minutes past the scheduled started time, so let's get started, if that's okay for everyone. We had a quick discussion about hockey, so if we have more hockey fans here, this is the moment. If not, we'll start talking about JSON schema.
Go Stars.
Yep. Okay, let me share my screen. Let's make this bigger. Okay, this is today's agenda. We have a topic added by Ege regarding the proposal of the specification, stable specification development life cycle, and also an additional comment here that we will discuss later. But we still have time for adding more topics. So if you have something in mind, just add a comment to the issue that is the 699, send me a message or just write it in the chat. Any comment before starting? Cool. Um, very quickly, let's do some housekeeping and review together the meeting etiquette. We are going to record this meeting to share it with the community and also in our YouTube channel. But if someone is against sharing this publicly in YouTube, just send me a message and I'll take care of not uploading this one. Otherwise, this will be online tomorrow. We encourage everyone to challenge any language or behavior that is not inclusive, harmful, or against our code of conduct. And we'll try to stay on mute when other person is speaking and use the Zoom reactions for us to speak. So let's get started. Before going with today's main topic, let's review the action items of the past week call. We had a good discussion with two topics added by Book. That is, I saw him connected, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I have a book. We discussed about issue 653 and issue 266. And also, there was no action items regarding those, but we also discussed about the discussion 565 regarding the office hours and my proposal, or changing the scope or adding a new, an additional community meeting. The action item was, for me, to suggest more friendly, a proposal that is friendly with other time zones like Asia and Pacific. And this is what I did. So this is basically what I'm suggesting. And I'm looking for getting feedback. The office hours, the current office hours, instead of just running it in the European friendly time zone, I'm suggesting to do it bi-monthly, sorry. 1 month in European friendly time zone, and another month. Okay, sorry, I was highlighting different the wrong text. So the existing one, European friendly time zone every 2 months, and an alternative. So in Asia, Pacific, and America's friendly time zone, but this is just to be discussed. So this is a proposal. So 1 month in each time zone, and adding this additional community meeting focused in updates, sharing talks by the community, tooling creators sharing updates in their tooling, and basically discussing about, for example, the upcoming JSON Schema conference in December, stuff like that. So yeah, that's just a proposal, but probably we can find better approaches than this one. Everything is in this discussion. So if someone has another alternative, just let me know. Any comment?
So on
Sounds
the
good.
last point, that it'll require volunteers to act as from different times, like to basically conduct these meetings. Are you suggesting that?
Yeah. As of now, we are using this. We are just running this meeting monthly. The office hours in 3 p.m. London time zone. This is good for European folks. Is people from US can make it, but if they get up early, but it's not the best for Asia, and is really bad for the east side of East Asia, like Australia or New Zealand, Japan, and so on, right? So we can do it better. And basically, to make it work, we will need more people making sure that we have someone leading the meeting. The office hours, the current office hours has been led by Ben Hatton, but if we start doing this Asia, Pacific, and Americas one, we'll need someone or a group of people that are experts in JSON schema to be able to reply the questions there for the office hours. And for the community meeting, let's see, because we didn't even started. We didn't even started with this new proposal, so we need to run the first meeting first. Maybe make this call for collaborators to facilitate the meeting in the other time zone, or maybe I can do it. It's not extremely bad for me. So, but what I think is important, the office hours, because it's like more is the traditional one. Has been extremely helpful for different projects and people historically, and I think that if we open this new time zone, is going to be received well. I hope so. And the community, let's see. I honestly, I can do it, but I will prefer more people making a step forward and getting involved, because this is what community is about, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I can
Yep.
take it, doing the office hours for the Pacific time zone. That should be pretty easy to do. I think the community meeting is a little bit more difficult to schedule, because we want as many of the maintainers to be at the community meeting as possible, because we discuss project direction kind of things at the community meetings.
No, but I'm not suggesting. Sorry for interrupting, Greg. This community meeting is not the one that we are holding right now.
Oh,
That the
okay.
open community meeting. This community meeting is going to, what I have in mind is community updates, or it's just purely community, no spec development and so on. It's just anything else. Is um, um, people
Okay.
sharing anything else. Imagine that someone built a new implementation that is like building forms with JSON schema. And
Okay.
if that person is open to present it, exciting. So let's do it.
It's more of a user group.
It's the typical just community meeting when the community manager or someone that is involved in the community share updates about articles, or call for papers for our conference, or we are looking for people to get involved in this, and that. And we also have the opportunity to someone to share something excited about JSON schema. But hopefully people, other projects, like not us, like ecosystem updates from folks from outside the core team. Because the weekly meeting is just purely work, right? I think that we need something else to make it easier for people that is not 100% involved in the development or in the progress of the project, has an opportunity just to show up and take something for them. Like, okay, today they are going to speak about, I don't know, how a company is adopting JSON schema. I don't know, one of the case studies, and they present us what they have. I think that is a good kind of thing to do as a community. The more offered in the menu, the better. That is what I'm trying to do. But let's experiment. At least let's make it experiment and see how the community reacts to this. And if it's not working, I mean, it's easy to stop doing it, because we have a lot of things to do, right?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah, let's try it out. I'm also happy to help out with office hours. I don't know how much I'll be able to help with the community meeting idea, but I will try if you know if we happen to be talking about something that I know about.
I mean, it's better to try the first meeting, have a round of feedback to see first if it helps, if we can change the format. And as soon as it start getting some momentum, I think we can get folks from this group or the world community interested in getting involved. There will be multiple ways on getting involved, not only leading the meeting. It can be just share an update about the features that you are adding in the language server, for example, or I don't know what Ege is doing with the standards in other sites that are connected with JSON Schema, or what the work that Juan is doing, but open to everyone. Like a 20 or 30 minutes knowledge sharing or innovation or whatever, and 15 minutes of community updates and other stuff. No, well, I mean, let me feedback in the discussion, and let's see if we have consensus to start doing it. Any other comment regarding past week discussion before go directly to today's agenda?
Yeah, I did add one issue to the agenda there. I just pinged it in the common chat for Zoom.
You mean today's agenda or past week's agenda?
Today's.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take care of. I'm going to add it as a comment, and I will update accordingly the agenda when I share the notes tomorrow. Okay. If there are no more comments regarding this proposal regarding the increasing the office, our community meetings menu and make it more friendly for other time zones. For today, we have this comment by Ege Korkan regarding the different discussions that Ege has been having with Greg, Jason, and other community members. So I leave it to you, Ege, if you like to explain
Yeah.
exactly. All yours.
Sure. Yeah, so this was shared in I think 2 weeks ago. So I had a chance to look at it. And I think I quite like the GitHub discussions like usage for this to like have different threads, because there's multiple like points to discuss in parallel. So I quite liked it. And I think we had quite a good asynchronous discussion already on most of the points. And I think I definitely support it, and I am working with the W3C to get a more written, like supporting text, so public text out of, so for this direction. So I think generally we like it. There were some things, let me go down. I'll share screen, I guess, on those. This thing about payments, or like the feature readiness. Sorry. Okay, now this is a bad part, but there were multiple parallel things. So one of them was, when would a feature become ready, and how would we like guarantee that something is like implemented enough, and how do we accept new features? And I think there was some nice discussion, so maybe it would be good to just agree on some of these things going forward, or to get a bit of a timeline, because I think we can just do it asynchronously, or like we want to have a agreement in the call, and then like close the discussion for some of these topics. Generally, how does it proceed for this kind of stuff? Like, do you?
I don't know that we need to have an
sorry.
agreement. I'm sorry. I don't know that we need to have an agreement in this call. I think
Okay.
that the asynchronous process works well, but we do need to probably come up with a due date, a decide by date for these things. It's the whole discussion has been up since March 12th. So it's been over a month at this point, almost 6 weeks. And I think some of these things we can probably just get to the point where when, we say, by the end of May, let's have all this stuff. And I'm just pulling that date out of the air. but by X date, let's have everything wrapped up so that we can start moving on. I do have a PR that's I have edited the description and linked a PR. It's number 1500 in the spec repo, where the process stuff has been pulled out of here and put into an official process document. There are a few things in this discussion that actually would need to go into the spec, like metaschema URI and a few other things. But I think if we have all this stuff decided by a specific date, then we can write an ADR and get all this stuff actually put into place and continue carry on actually writing the spec and stuff like that. But I don't think we need to have it done in this fall.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that at least the part that are agreed on, I don't know how we can really like mechanically do this, like to like mark that this is agreed upon and like not don't bother too much on it. So I finally found it back, this part I wanted to discuss. So I'll share my screen. Yeah, so there is this one that yeah, so this is the one I wanted to more discuss. Is basically, I mean, I think the question was quite simple, but then the discussion here was more about like having yeah, like a, I don't know, a group where they are the they basically yeah, are the guarantees that something is implemented enough. And there were quite a bit of implications on this. So I wanted to maybe understand the what everybody thinks of like the whole like membership and like, yeah, if you would consider some implementations more since they are, I don't know, some sort of a member. I don't know. This was a bit surprising to me, and maybe it's not a bad thing, but this is quite nuanced, like how you consider somebody a member, like an implementation, and the legal entity becoming a member are very different stuff. Maybe I can just...
Yeah, the issue that
here.
we have is that there's I mean, we have I don't know how many implementations out there supported by some random person working on it in their spare time. So it's hard to say like, oh well, we have most implementations supporting this new thing. So this was just a suggestion for how we could better measure how well supported a new feature is. And I use the word like member implementation, but like maybe that's the wrong word. I think it seems to have more weight, more meaning to you, Ege, than I had intended. The idea is just to have like a group, like a collection of implementations that we know are being supported regularly, and use that group as our measurement of how well something is being supported. It's not an exclusionary thing specifically. Like the idea is absolutely anybody who wants to be, a part of that group is allowed, is invited, is encouraged. But the only reason for there to be a group is to have some sort of indicator that implementation is currently being maintained. And that's the only real point.
Yeah, maybe. Sorry, did Ben raise the hand?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to sort of throw in there, if we do have some sort of group of implementations that are actively engaged in the process and are being maintained in that way, we can certainly look at supporting them financially if that's something that the maintainers would benefit from. And I think once you reach a certain stage, like getting that implementation and the experimental parts, excuse me, is something we should look to support maintainers doing. Where that will be helpful.
Maybe like so I think that's what Greg wrote. The chat is quite good, like some sort of like a annual check on this kind of thing. Maybe a question. So how was it in the past? Like who would propose new features to the spec? So
Anybody.
Yeah.
So
And
anybody can raise an issue in the spec repo, and that's usually how we would be alerted to someone wanting a new feature. Other things is the spec maintainers would, or the community leaders would be like, people are asking this question a lot, or asking how to do this, or saying that this is difficult to do. Can we come up with a better way to do that task? And so a feature would come out of that. Usually that's just kind of how the spec grows. And this is kind of formalizing that.
Well, I would say that in the past, it's mostly the core team who comes up with ideas and puts in the spec, and generally, like, we formalize the feature, and then once it's released, people implement it. And what we're trying to do is turn that around a bit, such that we get implementations, and we design it, and then once we have implementations and it's vetted in that way, then we've officially formalized the feature with by releasing it in this new spec.
Okay, I think that's definitely a good direction, and like from what I've seen seems to work better for this kind of specs. And like you also gave examples of like ESLint and like the HTML spec and so on. They all sort of work like this, based on like some sort of implementation experience. But yeah, I think as long as there's no like tight membership fees and this kind of stuff, I think it's totally fine. Okay, then my other point was which is a bit related. I think it's also fine to like expire these kind of like proposals if there's no implementations. Like it's just the same thing in the end. To basically, if somebody proposes and nobody implements it, and that's, I think, can be just never go into the spec at all, or if it goes into the spec, it's and goes out somehow. But yeah, I mean, maybe it just stays in a proposal of the whole time, but never. Great.
So my idea with asking this question is, yes, is it, there's a question of, is it pulling implementation support, or implementations actually building it? But the other side of this is, things like, can we come to an agreement on what the feature should look like, or You know, are people just not interested enough in developing the feature? Like maybe they're interested enough to get a proposal going, but are they interested enough in continuing it and finalizing the proposal to get something that is worthy of being put into the spec? Sometimes that just kind of peters out, and you know, what do we do with those proposals that just stall? You know, I would say if a keyword's involved, then we release that keyword and carry on, and we expire the proposal, and maybe it can be picked up later, but for the current time, just drop it. And of course, we would need to have very defined metrics on that. Like it's been 6 months since anybody worked on this feature, that kind of thing.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in the end, since things are on Git anyways, it will be always tracked in a way. Like this other thread about like proposals as issues and so on. Like in the end, they can just be tracked, and if somebody is like interested again, can be reopened. And yeah. Okay, and then for me, maybe the most important part was the stability requirements. So that was the most important thing from the, well, okay, so now I need to find it again, sorry. Yes, so availability and the stability of like a spec, and I think, Greg, with this one you put it into the PR that basically okay, so this one was fine. Yeah, the main thing I yeah, so the main thing is, since like JSON Schema is like its own entity, do you have any like guarantees in general for the future of like the domain ownership, even like if you think of that whole direction, like if the spec needs to be there for 10 years, you need to have the domain for that long, and all this kind of, I don't know how it's categorized, this kind of long-term stuff.
Yeah, I would say, as long as JSON, the JSON schema project is active, we would maintain those URLs. If we need to move the documents for any reason, we would put up redirects and stuff like that. But yeah, not sure. We can definitely put that in. I think I've already put that into the process PR. And I had included it above at some point, or at least some portion of it. But yeah, document availability on the website is more of a governance thing, and yeah, we will definitely. I can't see a reason why we wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I also think that it's gonna be there. It's just to argument it, like for the W3C and so on. Is like nice to have very clear statements on this, so that it's really just the text, but it's good to show that it's agreed upon. And but by the way, so Ben wrote already in the chat that it's been live, but there are actually concerns on like whether the IETF links are actually stable, and they actually, I think a couple of years ago, they only decided that they will be never deleted. However, until then, they were saying that, oh, they could be actually deleted, like, or
Yeah.
not maintained.
Yeah,
So,
I do remember that conversation, or reading through it. And we obviously have no purview over how the IETF manages their documents, which is why we've decided to host those documents on our website as well. And as I mentioned, as long as we're a project and the website's up, then they should be available at those same locations where they're published on our website now.
Well, I think one of the issues you're getting at here is one that we've faced in the past, where the people maintaining the spec changed, and we lost control of the original GitHub repo that housed the spec, and we had to move to the one that we're in now. And so obviously, like, we don't want that kind of thing to happen if we lose control over the domain. We have, that would be a big problem. But we're working with someone right now who's going to help us, among other things, centralize a lot of these things. So a lot of these resources, so things like that can't happen anymore. So it's a risk that we are actively working to manage right now.
okay. Is this like what I just said written anywhere? Would be good to like know for me.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Like this what you just mentioned, that like that you are aware of the risks and like somebody is like take care of this.
Yeah, we're working with somebody to I guess move all this stuff into a legal entity that that such that we could never lose control of it, even if maintainers change.
Ah, nice. Is this legal entity gonna be live very soon? Like, or is there any timeline?
I have no idea about timeline.
Yeah, we have very little information at this point.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if that's also settled, I guess those were my main questions. I think the rest we cleared it up with Greg and Jason on the thread. But by the way, do you or did I miss something? So did you have something to ask from me, or? I think I looked at everything before sharing my screen. Be sure.
No, I think the only outstanding issue is probably the naming, choosing a URL for the meta schemas.
Okay.
I think that's probably something you must understand.
Do you mean choosing a URI, Jason?
Yes, I did.
So for me, it's it is for me. It's not a big concern. I think. Yeah. So for me, it's always I always think of the spec itself, but of course the meta schema is like like a side resource of it. But should I move there, or do you want to share screen, or will you do discussion asynchronous?
It's the first thread if you wanted to, well, the second thread, if you wanted to look at that. Yeah. So
Yeah, okay. So,
the primary issue here is that in the past we've used HTTP URLs for the identifiers and the schemas, and then we've also hosted them at that location. As a result, users have tended to expect that the IDs that they put in their schemas represent locations where they can be found as well. And tooling will go, even though the spec explicitly says not to do it, tooling will go out onto the internet and try to find these resources. So the idea here, what I'm proposing, well, first, this thread is to determine what we should use for the ID in the meta schema. And there are two proposals there. I'm in favor of proposal 2, where we have some non-URL style URI that is the ID itself, that is directly translatable to where on our website we're hosting it. And I had proposed that we register the scheme, which is available. And it would operate exactly like an HTTPS URL would, except that it's not a locator. And it's just a visual indicator that this is just an ID. Jason's put some analysis down for the various options, and I think it's a good analysis. But the fact that HTTPS implies a location is a big question for me, and I'm tired of having to say that ID is just an ID. It's not a locator. And if we have something visually that isn't a URL, then I don't have to answer that question anymore.
On a side note, I think I'm with Greg on this one. Like I got on board with the project like pretty recently, and IDs was confusing to me first as well. Like I believe I was watching Ben's YouTube videos on how he takes like other folks on and get the discussion going. Yeah, ID being like how one schema could use another schema, like how cross references. It should be like pretty explicit, I think. Like this is the path where you can get the schema, and this is not like we don't use this domain. It's just a reference to the schema. So I think I'm with the proposal. I believe that was one. I'm not at this question, so I'm just like thinking out loud. Was it proposal 1 which says that be very explicit and not use like domains so that we don't get this confusion?
I think that there's a domain in all the cases, but
Well, I would say that the domain under the schema, the proposal 2, I would say the domain would be classified as more of a namespace than calling it a domain.
Yeah,
So it doesn't even need to follow the .org format. In fact, I rather liked the URN and tag syntax that Jason put in there, and he does have good points of people are less familiar with URN and tag. And they would also have to learn what schema is, but it doesn't say go to this location and download it, which is the entire point here.
personally, I think that's a better approach. I think Ben had his hand up for quite a while. I'm not sure if you wanted to add something.
No, I just wanted to say that Ben had the
Yeah.
hand raised for some minutes. I don't know if you still like to say something, Ben, or you forgot it,
No,
maybe.
I realized my question was stupid, so I retracted my hand. My question made absolutely no sense, so please continue.
Come on, Ben. I actually saw your videos, and it didn't sound like to me on YouTube.
No. The question didn't make any sense. It was just my brain not working. So yeah.
But by the way, I think like the registration like point is not a big deal, like from what I remember. But yes, I don't know. I mean, just me like being the familiarity, I like this one, but I think I need to read the comparison to have a more educated opinion.
Yeah, I wanted to share something, and maybe it's a stupid comment, but I'm going to share it anyways. Some days ago, I found an article from I don't remember the name of the person, but regarding the moonwalk proposal, and they are speaking about using ARA or something like that, the specific another approach for resolving the location of the schemas. Is this something that we can use here too? Maybe let me find it, because I left a comment in a Slack too. Was Phil Sturgeon who wrote it? One second. Let me see if I can find it. Because if OpenAPI is going to do it for Moonwalk, maybe we can like take a look and add it as an additional option here. One second. Yeah. Let me share my screen.
Sure.
Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen, folks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let me make this bigger. So basically, this article by Phil Sturgeon is explaining what is coming with Moonwalk. And one of the things is they have been speaking here about the problem in the OpenAPI community to resolve namespaces. And they are exploring using ARA, resource
ARI.
identifiers. Yeah, ARI. If they are really speaking about this, and if we are going to take a similar decision, maybe we can like sync, right? Or just add it here as an option.
We've
We are
actually,
talking about
We're
the same.
already using IRIs. It's
Yeah,
yeah, it's not actually released, but is decided a long time ago to use IRIs.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's actually already integrated into the spec as well, in the main branch.
It's like an upgraded version of URIs to support additional languages and character sets.
Cool.
Good catch, Ben, huh?
Yeah, this is the benefits of being surrounded by spec authors. So
Yeah.
you learn something every day.
Yeah, I think we're just in the habit of saying URI because that's what we've said for 10 years.
I think that's a generally accepted way to speak of it as well. I think it's like nobody knows what you're talking about if you're talking about IRIs or IRLs or anything like that. Everybody just knows what you're talking about when you say URI or URL.
International URI.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 11 minutes more. Any other comment regarding the threads in the specification development lifecycle? By the way, Ege, thanks a lot for all the comments. It has been extremely helpful, so thanks a lot. So yeah.
My pleasure, and thanks for drafting all of this. I hope to be back in 1 or 2 weeks. Well, in the best case, with something more concrete from the W3C on the support on this direction.
You are making Greg and Jason work too much, so don't run don't run as much because like they are going to get stressed. So take your
Keep
time.
it coming.
Yeah, please do. It needs to be more than just me and Greg talking most of the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we need more voices. Not too
yeah,
many, but more than we have.
definitely we need more voices. Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's go back to the agenda. Let me share my screen again. Very quickly, another comment made by Ege regarding if we can have an iCal file of with the calendar. Of course, we can. We have it in the landing page. We have an issue created for each of the types of meetings. And here, this is the file, but it's not easy to find. When I first read your comment, I was thinking about updating this issue template and have the calendar link available here. So maybe it can help, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think I sort of remember that like many months ago, but okay. So it's on the main page. Okay. Yeah.
We are working in creating a new community page. So let me show this is the development branch, and we will have different new pages here, like case studies and FAQ and so on. This is super cool and is coming, and we are going to have a dedicated community page. And in this page, we are going to highlight it maybe better.
Okay.
Yeah. But we are still working on this. It's not fully complete. Yeah, the action item of adding the calendar to the issue template goes for me. So thanks a lot, Ege. And
Thanks.
next, no, my pleasure. Babuk, a comment by you regarding this is a pull request as an issue. This is the issue
Should be an issue.
658. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I raised this issue, I believe, last week, and we had a brief discussion about this. So I just wanted to get more insights from the group. I think we have a wide audience over here. Can I do a screen to present like what I think should be better with the getting started page? Thank you.
Of course. If you like to share the screen, please do.
Sure. So I think I had a discussion about this briefly with Juan as well. So this is relating to how the examples currently are there on the getting started page on how we explain the concepts to new users. Basically highlighting the code block which was added. For example, you have code blocks up till this point, and you're just explaining to the user that you want to add a time integer as well. So just highlighting that code block as green and just progressing through the page to have a sense of logic in a user's mind that yeah, this code block added and this like does this. Even though like JSON is like very user oriented and users can just see and like have a basic idea of like what the schema is trying to do. But I think this helps empower that a little bit more. So just wanted to get more insights on this issue. Like do we want this change? Like or do we not? Or is it, or do we have like some other change proposed perhaps? So just wanted to get some insights on this.
I like the idea. Juan, actually, I think I posted somewhere a link to Juan's latest blog post where he's putting some outlines around highlighted text that he wants you to focus on in various areas. He's using screenshots for that, which is fine for the context that he's working in. But I think is if we want to actually have code blocks that are, where you can select the text and copy and paste and whatever, at least copy. I think maybe something more like a GitHub diff where the lines are have kind of a faded green background, something like that would be good to identify the new text. It'd be something that developers are probably familiar with as well.
Correct.
But I like the idea.
So I'm presuming we want to go ahead with this because I was actually experimenting with how to actually get this working as well. Probably in the websites of our JSON docs. It would require a custom code block handler JavaScript function, but we can get that happen.
We already have one custom code block, and is like has a lot of range of improvement. In fact, we have an issue to create a whole new one because we have a custom block for JSON, a JSON schema, and another custom block for the rest of languages. And we struggle to make it homogeneous for all the languages. And there is an issue, but it's a complex one. So maybe we can add this feature as a something to get it added to the new component when it's available. But no one is actively working on it. So a couple of community members committed in doing some research, but I didn't see any comment for the last weeks. So I'm going to take the action of adding this as a requirement, this code highlight. I think it's a good feature to add. Yeah. Thanks for the idea, Babuk.
Thank you. I can like probably take that up if that issue is still available or not closed. Because I already was doing some research, so but I didn't find that issue on the website. So if a link to that would help as well, if I could just link to it.
I'll share it with you in a direct message later.
Sure works. So for the second agenda item, I think this is specifically for Greg in the call. So about the glossary page that we currently have. So this is like how this is relating to this PR and the annotation definition in general, but I'll just use this PR as an example in the starting point. Annotation, according to me, was just like a self-documenting keys on the JSON schema. For example, description and like various other subschema format as well that we support. But like I might have like missed a crucial point. So on the self-document aspect as well, I was referencing this page that we already have, and it seems to have in line with my understanding of annotations as well, like self-documenting. Yeah, I mean those are comments which help the schema be very explicit, like what it's trying to do. But a little more insight on that would be great. And I can like make a final change, like appending all the views together.
Sure. And I'd actually like to get Jason's insight on this as well. But annotations are more than just self-documenting. They can be used for self-documenting. So title, description, those are generally documentation kind of things. But then we have other keywords like format. Default is a keyword you could consider that documenting, but then it could be there for the application, the consuming application to handle in some way once the schema has been evaluated. The evaluation process spits out all of these annotation values, where they apply, where they came from, etc. And it's the application's responsibility to take those in whatever context the application has and ignore them or use them to enhance the application itself. A lot of times they are self-documenting, but it's not required that they are. Format could provide instructions to the application to, for instance, in a form building, if you're using a schema to build a web form, for example, the format keyword could inform this horrible short of words, horrible selection of word there. The format keyword can tell the form generator what kind of element to render in order to get the correct property. So if it's a date time, then the form generator will render a date picker. Or if it's supposed to be an integer, then it'll render a number picker with a little spinner thing. So I mean that's just one example. You could consider that documentation, but it's really it's further instruction for the host application. And so I didn't want these definitions to get stuck on the self-documentation aspect of this, because it's more than that.
Would it be helpful if we explicitly explain the scenarios? I'm not sure if you can cover all that in such a short description on a glossary page. But yeah, I think it does help give context on what you meant on like why not be self-documenting, like only be why we limit it to that once we have so much more. Also,
maybe if we edit this annotations page that you're showing to include those things and possibly link from the definition to the annotations page.
That's we can definitely do that, because okay, that's a great idea actually.
Yeah,
I think I'm +1 for that. I would be more than happy to incorporate that if we have.
I would also recommend reading the specification itself. In the core specification, I can provide a link to that.
Yeah, actually, I think you did provided a link to that previously as well. And I was reading through this. Specifically, I think it doesn't distinction or differentiate between the annotation or the keywords used to use those annotations, just the annotation itself.
Yeah. So, hey, Jason, in hyperschema, what is an annotation? Or I know that hyperschema uses annotations very specially. What is it doing in there?
Well, I wouldn't say it's all that special, but the link description object describes a hypermedia control, and that actually it's a template for a hypermedia control that when you apply the instance value to that template, you get a concrete hypermedia control. So yeah, that's just a really good example of one of the things that's not documentation, but actually based in functionality.
I think it could be like really helpful in getting the myths out of the community as well, because I think most of the documentation or the help YouTube videos that we see, like for JSON, most of it used for like first step of the validation. When the API response is coming in, we're just trying to validate it. It's type checking basically. Like it is a string, it's an integer, has its correct length, and I think if we incorporate this, it might get us out of the notion somewhat that we just don't do that, we do this as well. Would that be a correct assessment? Also, I just realized that we are just over meeting hours. I'm not sure like if we're scheduled for like this. Is that so?
But let's take this offline.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
we can talk about it some more. Feel free to message me in Slack, or put it in maybe in the spec channel, so that everybody can see it and chime in.
Sure. We'll just continue the discussion over there. I just want to be mindful of everyone's time as well. Yeah, I think those were the only two points in my agenda. One we fully covered, one we'll cover later.
Okay.
Thanks, Babuk. And thanks everyone. We had a great meeting. We covered like a lot. Thanks for everyone to make the time. Some people with not the best time zones like you, Babuk, and Daria and Suprit. So thanks a lot. And thank you, everyone. Let's keep working asynchronously in Slack and GitHub, and see you next week. Thank you and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Later.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye. Nice day.